everyone, and welcome to this playthrough for Master Division in the Summer Major Tournament. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go! First and foremost, you can see in the video description down below, you will be seeing direct timestamps for the specific holes in the tournament. So have that in mind when you do go in and watch. So as you can see here, we're going to start off with hole number 1. And hole number 1, we're going to play this one actually full blast when it comes to Master here. Sure, we can play it right side, we can play it left side. If you would be playing in any of the directions to just lay up, you might not have a Berserker ball. You might not have a Turbo or a Snow Globe ball. Then I would suggest to you to play it like our opponent is doing and then have a long iron towards the pin from this distance. You might want to play straight forward as well on the left side to go for like a rough bump towards the pin. As you can see here, we're going to use 18 in wind, and now you're going to be able to see a shot that is going to take a huge bounce here, but also going to put ourselves kind of close towards the green, which is then only left us with a short wedge there. As you can see here, with the bounce, we get kind of a low bounce. I'm going to roll a long way here, and from this distance we're going to have a rough iron, or also like if we put ourselves in the bunker, we're going to have a sandwich. A lot of top players out there do this type of hook shot and gives you an advantage in the way to get close to the green. If you are unlucky in the way, then you're going to if you are unlucky in that way, then you might going to stay very short and have kind of a long wedge towards the pin. If you are very lucky instead, and going to do like our opponent did on the when I played my second account in Master, he actually made it towards the green. That was just amazing. So we're going to, with this type of wind, we're going to take away the obstacles. We're going to use the rock out to the right. If you didn't see the rock that I'm referring to, then just rewind and take a look at it again. And then I did use full iPad curl. That is important. So I'm using an iPad mini, so I'm using the full curl from that distance and going from there. Here you can see we're going to have kind of a high, like elevated rough iron, which means that this ball is going to be affected a little bit more by the wind than a normal rough iron shot. And of course, with 16.9 pointing like northeast, then it's going to be a tough one to get close to the pin, or at least get in the hole. So we're going to have to adjust this one way more than we did. Even though we hit perfect, as you can see, it's going to travel way out to the right. So bad adjustment, but then we go to hole number 2. Hole number 2 is going to give us headwind. And in Master, we're going to try to either go directly up to that fairway as our opponent is doing now, or we're going to play it like we are going to do. And I'm going to show you that one, of course, after Phil has been taking his shot. And Phil, by the way, was the one that made to the fringe on hole number 1, which was epic actually to see. So he's going to play with the rock here, and I suggest that you do play with the rock or the quarterback to give yourself an easier time to adjust for this shot. Slightly underpowered, and now just going to basically bounce there without any spin whatsoever, basically, except for some backspin there. Nice and easy, no like specialties with that one. We are going to play here on the fairway. We're going to go for the bounce there. We're going to be in minimum distance of our club. We're going to adjust our numbers for being in medium distance, as we're going to adjust over 30% extra with our adjustment, max side spin with the Bandera ball combined with 1 bar of top spin. Might want to take away that 1 bar top spin, so we actually get to come in a little bit like not that hot, you know. So we're going to adjust for 8.2. We're going to play this one 10 rings, and then we're going to go half a ball of curl to the right here. We hit it perfect. And now we're going to get this ball to bounce fairly close, coming in like with a very tough bounce, still getting it a bit too hot, and as I said from the beginning, might going to take away that topspin for further play. But in the end, we're looking for a safe birdie on hole number 2. I'm not seeing that many hole-in-ones on hole number 2 in the tournament, so we're going to be just focused on making the birdie and get as consistent play as possible for hole number 2. Hole number 3. Hole number 3, now we're going to play right side. I know I've been playing left side in basically every type of hole guide and stuff like that, you know. But now when we do see the wind, this wind is perfect for us to play on the right side. And now we're going to use the curl that we do have on the Apocalypse level 6. And if you're not having a club with this much curl that we're going to have, then I kind of suggest that you play like our opponent there, a little bit more conservative and trying to not go with as much topspin. Then you maybe just want to focus on giving yourself like this more flat bounce before the bump there. You can see when I stretch it out there, you can see on the left side of this fairway, we're going to have this little bump that is going to push us more out to the right. And as we do want to reach as far as possible on this fairway, we're going to use that, of course not in our favor, but we do have the curl. So we're going to adjust this shot for being like 10 to 12 rings, depending on how comfortable you feel by playing with max curl and slight overpower. 4 bars topspin is important, combined with max side spin on your club. And with the curl here, as you can see, we do get a very good bounce, and will be falling in there on that fairway, giving ourselves a very good attempt for either playing with our long iron or we're going to play with the wood club in a minimum distance. So, and also for the drive, we do add 10% for that drive. So we're playing slightly downhill, we're adding 10% on our numbers, and that is going to help us be more accurate for the drive there. So our opponent there is going to bounce before the bunker. If you're not reaching that far on the first fairway, that is the play that I would go as well, and try to use the green in your favor, because the green slopes down to the right just a tiny little bit, especially there in the front, which is going to of course be good with using some side spin. Using side spin in the wind, like as you can see, we are having like wind pointing 11.6 towards west and going with the spin towards east. That is of course is something that you need to factor in when you do play, as you're most likely going to be pushed more to the left, as the spin, when the ball hits the ground, like coming in from one direction, the spin tries to push it back, but it's not going to have that enough strength to do so. So we're just taking a look here. We're going to be like with 11.5 minimum distance of our club, as we're going to have some slight tailwind here. Now it's important for us to play good with the spin adjustment, and still need to figure that one out so we are spot on. Now we're going to use, as you can see, a good amount of backspin combined with some side spin here to the left. Want to have the fringe as a platform there, due to as we are going to be pushed to the left side there. As you can see, we are adjusting this one for 9.5 rings. And we hit it great, unfortunately, because this is going to be pushed too much. So close! We get it very close. Might adjust that one actually a little bit too much in the end, to be honest. So we're going to go to hole number 4. And hole number 4, now I'm going to play an approach here where I'm going to try to reach to that top fairway there. Because the thing that we need to have in mind here now is that if we play ourselves up short, giving ourselves room for a long iron or for a wood club, then we either need to use the rock, like the cliff, like on back of the green, to make the ball stop on the green, or we need to use a long iron with a good amount of backspin, giving ourselves a problem, I will have to say, because we cannot go for the pin when we do have this type of wind, like for the second shot. So we're going to go with an aggressive drive, which we are going to be close to be making, but in the end, if we do make that drive and we cannot make it, and we make it into the rough or into the bunker, then we're going to have no problem to reach for the green, and then we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So as you can see, using a Berserker Ball, we do have an Apocalypse level 6. Pay attention to the wind. The more crosswind you have, the less opportunity you will have to get this ball out to that top tiny fairway there. We're going to have to max overpower this one, and we need to adjust for that. So we're going to 14.7. One ring for the Apocalypse level 6 is 1.5. So we're going to have 5, and then we're going to have 10, and we're going to go with 12 and a half rings approximately there. Going with like a little bit more than one ball of curl. We do hit it great, and we do want the ball to come in here and nice and easy towards this fairway here. And as you can see, we do not get the roll here. With a little bit luck, we would be rolling over there into that fairway. You can play that shot with a Thor's Hammer as well if you're not having another club. Have in mind that you need to play with a Berserker. If otherwise, then you need to play it like our opponent is doing. But this is the thing that we do want to stay away from. Having to bounce on that fairway is going to give us a big trouble. Because if we just are slightly off, it's like the trajectory is going to be lower, which means that we're going to lose distance there as well. It's uphill, which means that the ball is not going to be affected by the wind that much. So every ounce of that particular way is going to give us a very tough time in general here. So he gets it to the green, which is a good thing to do from that distance, I will have to say. So now it's our turn here, and we're going to play with the Amazon. So the reason we're picking the Amazon here is because we do want to have the backspin. The Amazon combined with the Houdini as a sandwich is going to give ourselves the backspin that is needed, and then we're going to definitely have a shot for the pin, even though it's going to be a very difficult one. So as you can see here, we're lining it up 15.2 in wind. And definitely going to have a good approach here. The problem with the Amazon is that we kind of never play with it. It's like I like the approach they were getting it like kind of a little bit too much to the left there. But as you can see, we could go for the pin in a much easier way than we could go for another type of distance. So I'd rather take a rough iron shot with a lot of backspin here than trying to bounce as our opponent was doing, if I do have the chance to do so. But it was a good shot from our opponent, so that was definitely well played in my opinion. So we can say that we are basically halfway through, and we have had some good wind, some tricky wind, and now we're going to have some good wind again. And with good wind, I mean we're going to have some tailwind. And with tailwind, it opens up for you to actually play straight forward. So I know there will be players that is going to play right side here, try to bounce over on that fairway platform, and there is also going to be players that are going to play straight forward. I'm going to be a player that is going to play straight forward. I do believe that the drive is going to give yourself a way to play with a sniper or with a long iron if you reach further. The problem I see with this type of way is that the drive is going to be limited for those with a good amount of curl of their drive, and could potentially put yourself in a very tough way in the rough or in the bunker or something like that. And we'll also have the water in play big time. But if you do manage to make the drive for the right side, you're going to have straight tailwind with the sniper, and that is of course going to be something that is going to be good. So now we're going to go full blast down the middle. 14.1, and we do want to actually go to the second piece of fairway there. I think that is going to be the play I'm going to do. I can in some cases maybe think to go with a power 4 ball instead to reduce the wind a little bit. As you can see, we're easily reaching over here with this type of wind. We hit the rough here and roll out very nicely, and from this distance we're going to have a long iron towards the pin, and that is of course going to be an easier time than playing with wood club. So again, we're going to have to think and going to decide ourselves, are we going to play an easier drive going full blast down the middle, and put ourselves up for like either a rough iron shot or a wood club shot or a long iron shot, or we're going to pull ourselves up on the right side with a much tougher drive, but we're going to have a better wind for us when it comes to the second shot. That is up for you to decide. I'm just pointing out one way, and for you that are playing master will of course value in what you believe is going to be best for the clubs that you have. So now we're going to approach this one with the long iron, as I said. So now we're going to play, as you can see, with the Saturn. It's going to give us, like, we're going to play with a good amount of backspin here and going to line up just close by the green. 14.8 with the Saturn in, I will have to say, like, basically max distance. Of course, easier to adjust for, in my opinion, than playing like in between clubs. So we're going to go with 9 rings for this adjustment. And as you can see, we're slightly uphill with this approach. But the ball is going to take the wind is going to take the ball big time. So we're coming in, and we're coming in kind of close for making that albatross for hole number 5. But this is the way I'm most likely going to play hole number 5. But you can play right side, you can play left side. So now we go to, I would have to say, the hardest hole for from Master T. Here it's kind of 2 ways to play. Either you're going to play like Tony's doing. If you're not having a Thor's Hammer level 6 or 7, then you kind of need to play this way, because you're not going to be able to have enough backspin to make it stop if you're playing on the right side there on the fairway there on top of the bunker. So now we're going to kind of have to kind of decide, okay, do we have the club to go with max backspin? Then we need a Thor's Hammer level 6 or level 7. That is going to be hard for us all to have a club like that, but otherwise this type of shot is going to work perfectly. I do suggest you use a wind resistant ball, like a wind 5 ball would be perfect, but if you don't have that, then a quarterback shot or maybe like a sniper shot from that island is going to be preferable. So now you're going to now I'm going to show you that with this type of wind and adjusting properly, we're going to get this ball to green. The shot is going to be affected 50% extra, so we're going to have to add 50% to the numbers that we're having. So if we're having if we do have like minimum distance of our club, we're going to adjust 50% extra from that, etc. So we go with 7 rings with the Thor's Hammer here with a power 1 ball, max backspin, and as much curl as we possibly can. As you can see here, we get it to kick. We're coming a little bit too hot, and with a little bit better adjustment, or a little bit moving back our adjustment a little bit more, like going like 1.5 ring more, then we would be in a much better way there. Hole number 7, now it's time to go for the hook. And this hole, I will have to say that if you're going to compete in the top, this is a hole that you must get. I see this one as absolutely the bonus one that we do have to focus on getting. If we're not getting this one, then we're going to have a problem, because then we need to find something else. I know this course is tough in general, and we cannot like say that, oh, let's go in and get this one. But if you do have an Apocalypse here, and also like with a Thor's Hammer and the extra mile, then you can hook this shot. For those players that do have split screen or landscape mode, it's going to be an advantage to play with that, of course. But it's definitely going to work even with iPhone and like a regular phone curl, and also with iPad curl, even though you need to be a little bit more spot on. And for us, we're going to play with a Kingmaker here. I do suggest that you play with a power 4 ball if you have one. And now we're going to find a reference spot when it comes to up on the hill there on the side, because I do believe it's hard to count the rings when we're coming into by the rocks there as the landing target. It's going to be hard to see. We're going to go with 5 bars of topspin now when we do have some when we do have a kingmaker. If I'm going to have a power 4 ball, then I'm going to go with 4 bars, just because we're not coming in with the angle that we do want to do if we're having just iPhone hook there. As you can see, I'm using the edge of the rocks there on the hill, like the top of the rocks there on the hill, as a reference when I come to 12 in wind. Then I'm just adjusting that target based on what wind I'm going to have. Max curl and also a max side spin. Now we do hit the rough, but the rough is definitely going to help us many times, because as you probably have seen already in the community, you have probably seen some players hitting the rough and the ball rolls through the rough outside for a closer wedge. But if we can get this shot as that consistent, then I'm going to be very, very happy, and I'm definitely going to take that wedge every single time, and hopefully going to make it good from that distance. If you're going to play with a Oceania ball here, for an example, this is not the best play to go with, in my opinion. That is going to have, it's going to be a huge problem for you to get this one in a good way. Most likely you're going to end up in the rough or in the bunker just in front, as you're not going to have the distance for it. So the hook shot for hole number 7 is important in my opinion. So if you do have any questions about that, please make a comment in the comment section below. I will be happy to answer you there. From this distance, we do have the like our end bringer 12, like we do have some slight siren, but we're also adjusting a little bit uphill, so the ball is going to be affected a little bit less by the wind. So as you're going to see my reference here, I'm kind of looking, take a look at the green there. I'm kind of looking for a more flat bounce than I had from the beginning, and therefore we're using 1 bar backspin and moving our target much further there. So 12 in wind here, and as you're going to see, I'm going to use basically half a grid on this adjustment, like a little bit less than half a grid, I will have to say, because again we're playing uphill and we need to reduce. We do have a normal ball guide line that becomes like a low ball guide line from that distance. Very happy with the eagle on hole number 7, and that is something that I will continue to work on my hook play there, and also going to take that eagle and all the way that we possibly can. Now, when it comes to mastering every division, hole number 8 and hole number 9 is the holes that is going to be the most trickier ones for you. I'm going to start off with hole number 8. Here I will have to say, if you do get the birdie, be happy with it, because with the wind that we're going to have, even though we do have some basically straight tailwind, this wind is still going to give you such a big push. So like with the ball guide line, it's going to be so much extended, and like for an example now, our opponent's using max backspin with the Thor's hammer here, and it's going to crush him here over the green, just because he's not adjusting enough for the tailwind here. We're going to add 25% in our adjustment when we're playing this shot, and we'll have to have in mind that if we're going to play as we are doing with the quarterback, we're going to play the quarterback in mid distance of our club, as we're going to adjust down to mid distance. That is important to have in mind. We're going to use the right side a little bit here, as we do want the ball guide line, when we do have some slight wind to the right, as you can see, then we do want the ball guide line to point a little bit to the left there instead, and hopefully that is going to counter enough. But here, have in mind again, the ball needs to bounce perfectly for us to be able to get this one to stay on green. We're going to go with 8.5 rings with an 8.1 wind. Power 0, so we're not having any extra power with the Oceania ball, coming in a little bit too much to the left, and that is going to push us a little bit too much to the right, and as you can see, we're going to fall down in the end. But I'm very happy with that shot, and can you hit the green with that amount of speed, which is a low type of speed, then I'm going to be very happy to just stay on the fringe or on the fairway as well, because that is going to be an easy birdie. Is it possible to make the hole-in-one? Absolutely, it's possible. Anything is possible, but it's definitely going to be a very tough par 3 to get one. And I think if you do go in with that focus, oh, now I'm going to be sad if I'm not getting the hole-in-one, then I think you do have the wrong focus for hole number 8, because it's a killer. So, I think it's time to prepare ourselves for hole number 9. Hole number 9 is going to be, if so, the hardest. It's going to be absolutely the hardest par 5 that we do have. And why is that? It's because of the wind. The hole was hard already before that, as it was required for you to get there. As you can see, we start off already with a drive, and as the video did cut off a little bit there, I need to explain what I did do. I did go with full overpower. I do have an Apocalypse level 6, which means that I go with full topspin as well. Max, but as much side spin to the right as possible together with max topspin. We do want to go with a power 4 ball if we do have some. We only have a Kingmaker here, so that was the ball that we played with. We did adjust our numbers for being 10% extra with the Apocalypse there. So, and then we went with full overpower, as I said, combined with one ball of curl outside the ring there with our adjustment. That did put us very close towards the top there, which I'm very happy with. Now for the second shot, now we're going to have, I would have to say, now we're going to do, we're going to make a decision here which is not going to be good. We will have to use this platform here. Now we're kind of like forgetting, I think we played too many holes in a row when we play, because now I kind of feel like, okay, let's bounce this one easily down to the pin, but no, it's not going to happen. We will have to use max distance of our club and max overpower of our club to get this one towards the green in the way that we want to. So we're going to adjust this one for 7 rings here, and then we're going to, as you can see, we're going to add almost max curl with a Cataclysm, and we're going to find ourselves on the fairway though, but in the end we're going to have a wedge still for the pin, because we're not going to reach. It's like we need to think about the compressed ball guideline and stuff like that. So we're going to have to go with max overpower, reduce the top spin instead if you do manage to make that good drive. But from this position we do have a wedge, we do have straight headwind, and that is a wedge that we should be able to manage to make. The drive is crucial for hole number 9. It's something that we'll need to bring with us when it comes to this hole, because in the end, if we can find ourselves in a way to get this wall close to the green with our second shot, then we're definitely going to be very happy going forward, because that is going to mean one extra eagle. Because we can say this, you know, we are not going to see that many albatrosses in this tournament. Sure, if you get an albatross, then you should be very happy. So the eagle is going to count. That extra eagle on hole number 7 combined with the eagles on the par 5s is definitely going to give us, it's going to give us 4 eagles for the qualifying round, and due to the tiebreaker impressive scores, that is going to be very important, as we're most likely going to see some players drop some eagles here. Like so. Now the thing that we're going to do here now is that I'm going to use side spin here to adjust for the ball guideline. As you can see there, it was pointing towards the right. Now we're going to use 1 bar of side spin to just counter for that, so we're getting a straight roll towards the green. As we're not going to be able to see the tip of the ball guideline here, I think that is very important. So now we're going to over adjust this one a little bit, as we do want to we do rather come in like hot than just not reaching for the pin. So we're going to get this one in, and I'm very happy with the start I did on my Michael account with a -13. So ladies and gentlemen, this was the playthrough for Master Division in the Summer Major Tournament, the Porthello Cove holes. If you do have any questions, please make a comment in the comment section below, and I will be happy to answer you there. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and good luck in the Summer Major.